Data analytics is just a process. It's just a process of collecting data, analyzing it to make informed decision about can be any company, it can be a personal thing for you or your personal business. So that's it. So we're going to be looking at data analysis concept. What are the things you need to know, and what are the tools you need? What are the tools you needed, and some brief explanation about the tools and how they can be applied also. So those are the things we are going to be talking about today. So without taking much of our time, let me just dive into slide. And if you have, we are going to have a question and answer after the whole table. If you have a question, you can also like leave it in the comment section, and we are going to take everything. So let's go to this slide. So you're welcome, everyone, wherever it is you might be joining us from. Uh, just one, let me share my screen there. So you are welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Analytic Bootcamp. So glad to have everyone here. So now, before we go to the analytics concept, so we have to understand the main thing that really brought us together as a data analyst, be it data analyst, machine learning engineer, data engineer, um, anything that data science field. So the only thing that brought us together is what is data. Without data, we won't have all these specialization like data scientists, like data engineers, like machine learning engineers, and many more, or statistics analysts. We have all those things like that. So the first thing is, what is data? So we have to understand what data is. Now we have here, data is refers to a raw fact, observation, or measurement that describe the characteristics of objects, events, or a phenomenon. For example, now when you make your calls on your phone, you generate data. When you send a message, generate data. When you browse or you go to YouTube, you go to any LinkedIn, you generate data. And you know what really brought about this data science field? It has been existent for what really brings it to the limelight is the advance in technology. So due to the advance in technology, the amount of data we generate day in, day out is so large that they needed some people to analyze it and make sense out of the data. So what is this data? Data is just a raw fact, information in its raw form. For example, now I have, let's say I own a supermarket and I have the transactional data of my sales from January to December. Now, you know, it's just like numbers sitting down there. I can't really make sense out of it. So that's data. Or probably they send, you know, sometimes you check your, some people that can really check their phones, you go to your phone and you see the amount of data you subscribe to over a period of time. You can't really make sense out of it. So those are raw facts. Or company transactional data in for like a year, those are raw facts. So they are raw facts, observation or measurement that describe the characteristics of objects, events, or phenomena. And the data can be in these raw formats. It can be as a numbers, like I said, for a supermarket now, the transactional information like the amount of goods you sold and the profit you made. So that can be a kind of like data. Text too can be a form of data. For example, when I'm WhatsApp, for example, now, you know, we chat, we send messages, receive messages, is a form of data. Data are being saved somewhere. All the messages you've been sending for so long is stored somewhere. So it's a form of data. So anybody can just come in there and analyze it. And we have Twitter also. You know, Twitter, all these tweets and everything that we did on Twitter is a form of data stored somewhere. Also, data can be in form of images. Yeah, it can be in form of images, pictures are data. They are data stored somewhere. And we have multimedia like audio recordings and video recordings. Let's take in the case of telecommunication, for example, you know, when you are sending your voice recordings to like your friends, your family, anything like that. All these things are data that are being stored somewhere. Or you make a call, you know, trying to call your friends or anything like that, or trying to do FaceTime, video chat, and everything like that. These are data that are stored somewhere. And the next thing we are going to be looking at this thing is what are the different classifications? Now we've talked about data, that data is a raw fact observations that are stored in a particular location. Now, what is the classification of data based on the storage? Now, data can be stored in a different way. We have structured data, we have semi-structured data. So these are the different classification of data based on the storage. We have structured data, we have unstructured data, we have semi-structured data. What are structured data? These are data that is organized in a predefined format and is typically stored in a database. When they mean database, yeah, now they are not really mean like Postgres alone or MySQL. For example, now your Excel sheet can be your database. Database is just a place that you store your data. But because we have all these different relational database and it can store a large amount. That's why a lot of people refer to a database. So database is where you store your data. It can be it can be just an Excel spreadsheet. It can be an access database. It can be anywhere. So where the data is stored is known as what as a database. And when we talk about structured database, the data that is arranged in an orderly manner, for example, in rows and columns. I have my sales, my transactional data now for my, let's say, supermarkets now. The data is arranged in rows and columns. Probably I store it in an Excel sheet. Excel has the rows and columns is arranged in rows and columns. Like for example, I have the sales, I have the quantity, I have the price. So the arrangement of the data is what really determines. So when you have a data that is stored in an orderly manner, so we call them what structured data. And this can be in form of a CSV files. We have TSV file, we have text file, we have spreadsheets. And I'm very, very sure every majority of us are familiar with Excel spreadsheets. We have Google Sheet too. Google Sheet can be your database. We have Access. Access is one of the database by Microsoft. We have Access database also. Or we can have all these relational and non-relational database. So relational database in terms of SQL Server, yes, MySQL, Oracle, or all these non-relational database in terms of Cassandra and every other thing like that. So that's what we mean by structured database, when the data is arranged in an orderly manner. On the next one is semi-structured data. What my semi-structured data? Semi-structured data has some organization properties, but does not really conform to a rigid structure. Now, an example of a semi-structured data is JSON. I don't know, maybe some of us have seen a JSON file. So the data is structured. It says that he has an header, he has the name of the column, but it's not in rows and columns. It is not arranged in rows and columns. But it's structured in some ways whereby you can identify like, okay, this data is for this data is for this, and that data is for that. So that's an example of semi-structured data. Very, very in the course of this class, we are going to see an example of a JSON format, how the data is stored in JSON. Some of people call it in a dictionary format. Then we have the unstructured data. Unstructured data are data such as our text documents, our video files, our audio files. Those are just files stored in one location or one archive. They are not structured. So those are the classification of data based on what? Based on the storage. Now, another classification of data that we have is classification of data based on statistics. Now, this is the main thing. So for you to analyze statistical analysis of your data, you have to understand this concept. What are the classification of data based on statistics? So we have qualitative and quantitative data. What do I mean by qualitative data? Qualitative data refers to non-numeric description of qualities or characteristics. It captures subjective attributes that cannot be measured on a practical scale and is often collected through methods like interview, observations, and open-ended questions. So an example of a qualitative data set is colors. Let's say the color of a house now. That's an example of qualitative data. Data that cannot be measured. We cannot apply any mathematical operation to it. We cannot add them. We cannot subtract them. We cannot divide them. Those are qualitative data. It's just the data for describing some things. For example, now, types of cars. Okay, this one is Range Rover. This one is Mercedes. Those are what? Qualitative data. Another example of qualitative data is gender. So we have gender such as male. We have female. Ethnicity. Okay, tribes. Those are different types of what? Qualitative data. Another thing is our names are also qualitative data because they cannot be measured. They cannot be measured. This is an example of qualitative data too. Our locations, like where we live, the state we come from, those are qualitative data. And the reason is that this data cannot be measured. They cannot be measured. We cannot apply any mathematical operations to it. Now, the next type of data is quantitative data. Quantitative data represent quantities or numerical values. It can be measured and expressed using numerical values and units. And a very, very good example of this is our age. Our age is an example of quantitative data. The total amount of goods sold today is an example of quantitative data. So these are, and the money I spent on a particular maybe event or something is an example of a quantitative data. The amount of money I have in my bank account is an example of a quantitative data. Because we can apply every arithmetic operations on this data. I can decide to remove, if I remove 10 naira from my money, how much will it remain? Okay, if I divide it by this. Okay, my age, if I remove also my age, what is my age, what age do I have left. All types of data that we can perform these arithmetic operations on them are known as quantitative data. And for example, we can also apply any statistical analysis to this data, the likes of like you are finding the mean, you are finding the median. So this is an example of quantitative data. Now, these data are also subdivided into other categories. For example, now let's take qualitative data. Qualitative data is divided into two main groups. We have the nominal data and we have the ordinal data. Under qualitative data, we have the nominal data and we have the ordinal data. What do I mean by nominal data? Nominal data are example of qualitative data that shows no rank. There's no rank between the levels of the okay. Hello? Okay. There's no levels or there's no rank to the types of categories that we have in qualitative data. That's an example of nominal data. For example, let's take our gender, for example. Now, male and female. It's not a situation whereby male is higher than female or female is higher than male. They are just what? They are just male and female. There is no hierarchy in the categories. So when there is no hierarchy in this category, we call that a nominal qualitative data. A nominal qualitative data. An example of it is just colors too. It's not that maybe yellow is higher than purple is higher than green. Although we might also had our preference to be based on our what we like. But in real sense of it, there is no like hierarchy in it. It's not that probably yellow is greater than purple, or purple is greater than red, or red is greater than any other things like that. So it's an example of nominal data also. Types of cars too. Type of cars. We can say, okay, Mercedes. We say Mercedes. We have a Range Rover. Although we might add some preference to that. Okay, based on your own. We might add hierarchy to it based on your preference now. Probably because you like Range Rover, you might say, okay, it's better than this. Okay, probably you like Mercedes. You say it's better than this. But in real sense of it, there is no hierarchy in it. They are just types of car, Range Rover, Mercedes, and like that. So these are example of nominal data. Now let's look at ordinal data. So ordinal data is is a category of data whereby there is hierarchy in these categories. Example is our, let's say, position in school. Now we have first, second, third, position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4. In that case, there is hierarchy in this type of data. 1 is higher than what? Is higher than 2. 2 is higher than 3. So when there is hierarchy in what? In the categories of a qualitative data, we call them ordinal data. Ordinal data, they are ordered in ranks. So this is higher than this is higher than this is higher than this. An example is if we carry out a survey, a survey, we try to like collect data, and you have something like a Likert scale. I don't know who is familiar with Likert scale. All these strongly agree, disagree, and not agree. That's an example of what? Of an ordinal qualitative data. There's a hierarchy in it. Strongly agree is higher than agree, and agree is higher than neutral. Neutral is higher than disagree. So there is hierarchy in these things. This is an example of also an ordinal data. So an example of an ordinal data we can also see is probably I've talked about levels, and also levels in school. Like say we say, okay, this one is in first year, 100 level, 200 level. There is hierarchy in it. So that's an example of what? Of an ordinal data. It's a qualitative data that has a form of hierarchy in the categories. So this one is higher than that. Now, in terms of quantitative data, under quantitative data, we have discrete data and we have continuous data. We have discrete data and we have continuous data. Most especially, example of a discrete data is like an whole number. A whole number. A whole number is an example of a discrete data. And example of a continuous data is like basically like a decimal number or something like that. Now, I know some people might disagree with this. So in this case now, our age should be a discrete data. It says that, okay, I am 12, I am 13, I am 14. There's nothing like I am 13.22, I am 13.33, I am 13.44. No, it's an example of a discrete data. It's a whole number. It's either I am 1, or I am 2, or I am 3, or I am 4. So another example of now the next one is continuous data, and mostly those are just decimal numbers. For example, the amount of money we have in our account can be continuous data. Okay, the most amount I have in my account is just 20,000 17 kobo or something like that, or $20, 77 cents or something like that. So those are an example of continuous quantitative data. And it is very, very important to have an understanding of these types of data based on statistics before we can analyze it. So this classification of data based on statistics has to do much with the analysis, because you have to understand the classification based on statistics before you can apply any form of statistical calculation or measure to it. And the other one, classification based on storage, has to do with, okay, where am I getting my data from? You have to know the type of data you have for you to know how you can process it. So if my data is in a structured format, I have to just go ahead and analyze it. If it's in a structured format, I have to think a way to convert it to a structured format before I can analyze it. So those are the different classification of data. Now, let's now look at what is data analytics. Now, data analytics is the process of examining data sets to draw conclusions about the information they contain, with the goal of discovering useful insights and support decision making. Now, the whole goal of carrying out data analytics is because there is a problem, or there's an issue, or there's an answer you are looking for. If there's no issue, if there's no problem, if there is no answer you are looking for, there won't be need for data analytics, and probably maybe we data analysts will be out of jobs. But companies make decisions day in, day out. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to do something, okay, is that we go for A or B, we make decision. And back then, before the data analytics come to limelight like this, people just make decisions based on their discretion or based on their experience. And that type of decision doesn't really, it's not really good enough. It's not really good enough. So now that we have data, a lot of companies turn to data to make sense, to make a decision. So the process of examining data sets to draw conclusion about the information they contain with the goal of discovering useful insights and supporting decision making is known as data analytics. So someone asked a question yesterday about, okay, what is the difference between data analytics and data analysis? Now, there's a difference in the two of them. Now, data analysis is a part of a process in data analytics. So data analysis is a part of the process in data analytics. When we talk about the data analytics, the whole process of collecting data, analyzing, and making insightful decisions is known as data analytics. From identifying the problem, from collecting the data, from cleaning the data, from analyzing the data, and from making insightful decisions from the data. So the whole process together is known as data analytics. So data analysis is just one of the processes. So those are that. So it's the process of examining data set to draw useful information from it. Now, you might have data set, you might have some data now about your transaction for a whole year. Now, me looking at data is just sitting there. It doesn't really make sense to you. Okay. Now, if you have a data analyst now, a data analyst can just go into the data and draw it and just give you some insightful, make some insightful decision about it. That, okay, I think one of your peak sales period is between January and February, because that's when you have the higher sales. You see this between this period and this period, there's low sales, because it might be maybe due to the a general thing or a demographic thing and something like that. For sometimes I was doing a research sometimes, and if you go to a cinema, if you go to a cinema now, during the week, cinemas are kind of like low. People don't really go to cinema during the week. So that's why if you go there during the week, the price is kindly is cheap. But when it comes to during the weekends, the price is a bit high. So they tend to analyze their data, they study their customer behavior for them to make that decision. So for example, now, even if you don't want to go to cinema, but the fact that the cinema is the price of cinema is low during the week, might want to drive you to go there. Let me just go during the week. And this is one of the ways to make insightful decision for the company. Please, are you following me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
but you have to be a little bit slower.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir, we're following you.
you're somehow fast.
Okay, okay.
Yes, we're actually following you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Yes,
ma'am.
we are following you.
All right. So I will come back a bit. So like I said, sorry about that. I said the process is just collecting of data, analyzing of data, and making a site decision from it. So I'm citing a cinema, for example, now. Now, before they can make that kind of decision that, okay, let's reduce our price during the week and let's increase it over the weekend, it's because they've studied the behavior of their customer from their past data. They notice that they have more customers during the week, so over the weekends. That's why they tend to make use of that. They increase the price a bit. So Whether you like it, you still have to come and watch the movie. So that's it. You still have to come and watch a movie. But during the week, there are no more customers like that. So the best way to draw them is to reduce the price. So those are different ways that make insightful decisions. Like that. Can you just mute yourself? Okay. So those are the listing. Now, so what are the processes involved in data analytics? So we are going to be taking these processes one after the other. Now, before I go to data collection, the first thing you have to do for you to carry out this data analytics process is that you have to identify the problem. So now, what is the problem or what is the question? Without a problem or without a question, I can't really determine how to collect my data or how to analyze it or how to process it or how to visualize it or how to interpret it. You must identify the problem. That is why we as data analytics, what we do a lot is just we are providing solutions. That's why there is no way a company, there's no company that doesn't need a data analyst. There's no way a company will need a data analyst because every company generates data. No matter the industry, it can be maybe financial or anything, telecommunications, everybody needs a data analyst to make sense out of their data. Because what they have is they have some questions as the stakeholders or the business people. They have the questions, and they are very much aware that the questions they have, the answers in the data, but they don't understand the data language. They don't know how to go about it to extract it. But we as data analysts, we are the one that understand the data language. So we are just like a boundary, or let me say a bridge between the data and what? And the stakeholders. We are the one that understand the language of the data. So we understand the language of the stakeholders too. So we form the bridge between them. So when we got the information from data, we tend to translate it to the stakeholders in the language they understand also. Okay, this is what data is saying. Please, you have to employ more staff. Okay, you have to shut down this particular because it's not making more sales or something like that. So we are the bridge that stand between them and for them to make an insightful decision. But before we can go ahead for us to carry out our job as a data analyst, we have to understand their concerns. We have to understand what the problem is. We have to understand their needs. We have to understand what they want. Now, we as data analysts, we can't just assume on our own that this is what company needs. No. So what we need to do, we have to sit with the business, with the stakeholders, with the business executives, and have a conversation with them. What is the problem? What is it that you need? And while we are doing this, we have to ask a lot of questions. Don't just assume that, okay, they've said this, you understand, you just go to data set. No, you might miss it. And for you to give them the best decision, you have to understand them very, very well. So you have to sit with them. Okay, what is the question? What is the problem? How can we help? Okay, what type of information do you need? So after identifying that problem, after gathering the whole information, asking a lot of questions, and you are very, very sure of what the problem is. Now, the next one is not the data collection. It is the problem that will direct you to the type of data to collect. The fact that you have some data in your database, that doesn't mean that's the right data for you to use for the data analysis. No. So you have to, it is the question, it is a problem that is going to point you to the what? To the data that you need. Is it that we have to do a kind of like a survey, a customer satisfaction survey, send it out to people to fill? Or we have to use a secondary data, download data from maybe Google, or get data from Twitter, get data from Facebook, or anything like that? Or do we have to go to central bank? We have this central bank data that they upload. Is it the type of data that we have to get? Or we have to get all the stock data sets? It's from the question you understand the type of data that you need. So after identifying the type of data that you need, then you have to move to data collection. You have to move to data collection. So you have to think about, okay, how can I collect this data? In what way can I collect the data? So am I taking data from my database? Am I creating a survey, a questionnaire to send out to people? So these are the different things that you need to to get from data collection, and can only get that from the problem. So is it that I have to go to our database? Is it that I have to set the questionnaire? Is it that I have to like, get data from this? So the process of collecting data is just gathering the relevant data from various sources. The data you need might be in your normal database, or probably you need some more data. You have to like get some secondary data. So from the question, you will identify that. So after collecting this data now, you have to load in this data. So, and this is where the tools comes in. Now you have to determine the tools you have to use. So we have several tools that you can use for data analytics. We have Excel. Excel is one of the great tools you can use for data analytics. We have Power BI. We have even you can use normal SQL. You can write some SQL syntax. You can use programming language. The one of the programming language that we use, or programming language that we use for data analytics, is Python. Then we have R programming language. R is a statistical programming language. You can use either of all these tools. And also the type of analysis you are also doing, we also determine the type of tools you are using and the amount of data you are going to be collecting. You know, for example, now Excel has a limit to the amount of data Excel can take in. I think we have like a million and like it's a for 1,040,000 rows in Excel. So when you have a data that exceeds that, it is very, very, very difficult to analyze data in Excel. Probably you have to store in database. Okay, you have to bring it to Power BI, or do you have to analyze data in Python? So those are the things that uh, the types of data that you're collecting. Now, after you collect the data and you bring in the data from various sources, the next one is now pre-processing of the data. Now, what by pre-processing of the data? You have to transform the data from the raw format or from the raw structure to the structure that you can analyze. You have to transform it from the what? From the raw structure to the structure that you can analyze. When you are bringing in data the other time, when I talk about different type of structure, we have structured data sets, we have semi-structured, and we have unstructured data sets. Now, if you are bringing a data like a semi-structured or structured data set, you have to pre-process it. And one of the thing in pre-processing is data cleaning and data transformation. You have to clean your data. Every data that comes in or you get from an external source is always dirty in one way or the other. So you have to clean it. And most of the cleaning is like you are removing impurities, maybe no values, missing values, and how do we come by these missing values? For example, now let's say it's a questionnaire. I send out my questionnaires, and maybe there's some part that the information is kind of like sensitive. I remember back then in school when they send us a questionnaire to fill, and they are talking about, okay, what is our allowance, and probably our age or something like that. We tend to skip it, and we don't feel it because we feel like that kind of information is sensitive. We don't want them to know. And these are the type of things that amount to dirty data. So as a data analyst, I'll be the one to now face it, to be cleaning it. I'll have to decide whether I'm to remove the no value or I'm to like replace it with something else. Another thing is errors, inconsistency in data. For example, now we have some columns whereby we have names of customers. Maybe I want to analyze that now. Some customer might write their name in capital letter, while some might write their name in small letter. And let's say, for example, now we have two people that is bearing the same name. You understand? Two people that is bearing the same name. Probably the first one wrote their name in capital letter, and this other one wrote their name in small letter. When I try to analyze it, it's going to see it as a different data. And in the real sense, sorry, if someone input their data maybe twice now, and they are the same person, and someone wrote the data in capital letter, another wrote it in small letter. Now, there might be an issue in data set like that, because to me, looking at it is a different data set, and in real sense, they are just the same data set. So those are the things, and we have errors, we have outliers. Now, those are the things that you do in data preprocessing. Outliers are extreme values, that are not supposed to be in that data range. For example, now we are talking about, okay, maybe we are collecting age of students in universities, and I'm seeing like maybe like a 3 years old or 4 years old there. That one will tell me that this is a kind of like outlier, because it's not supposed to be that. It's not supposed to be there. So an outlier is an extreme value, and it can be towards the higher side or the lower side. So those are outliers, or some irrelevant information like maybe some unnecessary symbols. So those are data cleaning. So we have to clean data. And transforming of data. Transforming of data can be you are transforming the data from either semi-structured or structured to a structured data data. Because before you can analyze your data has to be in a very nice structure. So the process of transforming from a structured data set, from a semi-structured or structured to structured data set is known as a transformation, transforming data. Or another form of transformation is that I'm trying to create a column from an existing column. For example, is this in my data set now, I have the unit price of the product and I have the quantity, but there's no revenue there. So I can generate revenue by multiplying the unit price by what? By the quantity. So that's an example of a transformation. And it can be that probably the data type is not really correct. It doesn't really go along with the data that you have there. So I have a number a number here in a column, but the data type is in text. I can't preprocess it. So that's another form of what transformation. So this transformation is you cleaning your data, transforming data to a state that the machine or the tools that you're using can understand and you can analyze it. So these are the data preprocessing and transformation stage. Now, the next one is data analysis. So this is the real deal now. So after collecting data, after preprocessing the data, then you have to analyze it. Now, what really guides you in your analysis is the problem. So what really guides me in my analysis is the problem. What by me, what's the problem? So they've already share with me that this is the problem, this type of information that they need. Now it is now left to me to be able to digest or convert the data, the question to a way that I can understand. So after identifying the problem, now you have to convert the problem to a question. You have to convert the problem to a question. Let's say, for example, now the problem is that we are not making more sales, or our sales is dragging for like 6 months now, or it has dropped. Now, that's the problem. You can't just go to data analysis and just say, okay, our sales has dropped. What's the cause? So you have to now break down the problem into questions. Okay, what is our sales in this period? Probably you have different outlets. Okay, how much is it outlet bringing in? How much is that outlet bringing in? What is different between what this one make and what it make this year and what it make last year? No, those are the questions you have to break it down. And these questions are what you have to do as a data analyst. Because after identifying the problem and their concerns, it is you that will transform it to a question that you can now extract from the data. So our sales is not, we are not doing well in sales. Okay, what is the cause? You can ask some questions. What is our sales last year compared to this year? Okay, which one of the outlets is not bringing any more sales? Okay, it's because the outlet in Chicago is not bringing more sales, probably because the product that people buy the most is not in stock or something like that, or because people are on holiday, or because there's government policy that is affecting our sales. No, these are the questions you have to break down. So after listing the, then you can now go to the data to start finding answer to it. So data analysis is just applying statistical and analytical techniques to derive insight, identify trends, and make predictions. Now, after I've identified those questions now, then I can now apply statistical analysis or statistical measures to it. Like, okay, what is total sales in terms of, okay, I'm adding the total sales together. What is the average sales? Okay, what is the percentage change? Okay, what is the standard deviation of this? These are the statistical things you have to apply to data to make sense of it. And this process is known as data analysis. And we have different form of data analysis, which we are going to talk about very, very soon. We have different types of data analysis. Now, after you've analyzed the data and you've gotten answers to the questions that you've listed, now the best thing is now to go um to now give your data or explain the data to the stakeholders that will ask the questions. Now you've gotten the answers. You are the one that understand this now that, okay, the percentage change between this is because this one has increased and this one has decreased. You understand that language of data, but they don't understand. So majority of the stakeholders is just like they want to see why they are not making profit. Just tell us, is it because you are doing this? Okay, it's because you are doing A, because you are doing B. Majority of people doesn't have time for all those ones. They don't have time for all the things that you did. You might have a technical stake.
Ola, are you there?
Manuel, we can't hear you.
I don't know if I'm alone. We can't hear you. Are you there?
Hello.
We just give him some seconds.
Hello.
He actually is trying to get himself back. I think network.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Five. As fellowship. Roger, we are waiting for you. We are waiting for you. Hey, Jesus.
Can we get someone to continue with the lessons? If someone
Yeah.
has got the PDF
Yeah, we are
or
going to
the
do that now.
presentation, yeah.
Thank you. No problem.
Toby, I think it's the network, right?
Yes, it is. He's trying to fix it, but I'm going to share my screen now so you can all just
Hey, Jesus. 12:51. Sir, I'm leaving my charger.
okay. So can you see my screen? Please can you confirm if you can see my screen? Okay. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
Yes, we can. You can see us.
okay. So I think this was where our last stop, so I'm just going to try to hang in while he tries to get his network back. So
Yeah,
before
I believe. Can you hear me? The network is working. We can't hear you. The
you
network has
cannot
cut.
hear me, please can anyone
Yes.
else confirm if they can hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, so
Yeah,
please check.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I
we
think you
can
should
hear
check your
you.
net. I think you should check your network.
We can hear you. It's probably from his end.
Yeah, so I already saw some questions in the chat box while Ola was having the session, and was it Omoumi that was asking, okay, how do we treat outliers? So like I think I'll just use this chance to actually answer that question. So outliers outliers are literally like values that in a group of data, values that are out of, like, let's say, just abnormal. So let's use an example. In a class we did maybe like an exam, and everybody comes out with different grades, right? But we have that majority of the class comes out with 90, 80, just in that range, and you now have somebody coming out with 15%. That's an outlier because it is out of the in the data set. The normal becomes that range, 80, 90. The person that got 20, that data is an outlier. So how do we treat outliers? The first way, I'm answering your mommy. The first way to treat an outlier is actually to understand the situation. So you understand what it has to do with. So if in a class we are trying to, okay, find out, okay, these are the people that got this, these are the people that got this, you have to understand how. And when it now comes to in perspective to the data, you also try to see how, if you have to remove it or not. So like, and that applies to data cleaning in general. When it comes to just removing duplicates, removing null, you need to understand it. You need to understand that, okay, I have if I have, because sometimes we actually do null analysis, like blanks. Like sometimes you actually want to check, okay, if I'm doing data quality for a company and they're asking me, oh, we did a survey, right? And we try to get the number of people or number of customers that have signed up for our services, and we want to see the number of customers that have not. I would actually use my null. Like I would just just use my null to actually check. So I would say that the best way to handle outliers is actually to like understand them. If you remove them based off the understanding that you have in the scenario. Okay, this is the lowest person. Would this affect my data if I remove? And sometimes it's very easy to remove them because outliers majorly, most times when you have an outlier, it is most likely not needed for the data analysis, so you can remove it. But in a situation where the outliers are actually plenty, you actually need to understand your data set. Yeah, so I don't know if that answers your question. I'll just turn this to like a question and answer. So you can, if you have any questions so far, we have actually gone like, well, we're almost done with the slides actually, it's just 10 slides. So we're on 7. So if you have any questions like right now, can anybody just put your hands up so we can answer it? All right, 3, 2, 1. Please
Yeah,
go
the
on. You
question.
can just,
Yeah, the question I have is that this session we are doing
please, your voice, can you try to adjust your speaker, your mic or
now.
something?
Yeah, question I now is that the session we are having now, is it being recorded like the session we are having
Yes,
now?
it is. Yes, it
Okay.
is. Yes, it is being
Because
recorded.
of the fact, so that we can have access to the what's it called, the material that we are using. So we can we can go and
Okay.
rewatch the video on YouTube. So that's what I want to ask.
All right, no problem. It's available. Susan, please, you can go ahead. Hi, Susan.
Okay,
I can hear
good
you. Okay.
afternoon. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so so my question is concerning the data cleaning. Is there some kind of way you know that this data needs to be cleaned? Because, for example, now if you have a data set of about 35,000, or a large data set, how do you begin to identify outliers? So is there a way that you can, maybe like a form of I don't know how to say it, but a form of way that you can put this data to test, and then you can know maybe there's a particular line that there's a missing data or something.
Yeah,
So
so
that's my
that's
question.
yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Susan. So that's a very beautiful question because so far, right, we have had like a lot of let's say integration of what you're talking about into most of the tools we use for data analysis. Naturally, as a data analyst, you are meant to go through the data thoroughly to actually check if so once you get your data, you try to find blank spaces, you try to but it's a manual process, right? So Excel actually has like you can search for blank spaces, like literally once you go to data and you're able to find those blank spaces, you can clear them. So you from there you once you have those blank spaces, you either delete them, you delete the rows, or you fill them. And most of the times I would suggest you fill them with, like, now if you have, for me, when I have text values and probably they were null, you can put unknown, you can put NA. Most times is people use NA. When you have number values, maybe like salary, some of the staffs were meant to give their salary, like Ola mentioned, and they don't want to give that kind of confidential information. You put zero in place. So that shows that, okay, we didn't get, obviously this person had salary, but because he had zero, we didn't get that. Yeah, and that's the reason why we have to format our data like that, is because of the fact that it's going somewhere, right? Like we need to use it for something. We need to use it to visualize. We need to analyze it, and you can only make meaning when you have done that step. And when you talk about, is there a way to actually know? I'll tell you that yes, there is. When you get to Power BI, there's actually on your Power Query, on the front of your Power Query, you see data quality. So it will actually highlight. But I will tell you that typically, as a data analyst, you're meant to go through your data, check the data type, try to find the missing data. And as we get more into the practical sessions, right, you see how to do all of this. But yeah, there's a way, and most of these tools have made it easy for you to like be able to find these things. But it's more explained when we get to the practical, when we open Excel, open Power BI, open these tools, and you're seeing how it works. Yeah. So did I answer your question, sis?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think Musa went to it. Yeah, Musa, please.
Okay, hi guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I
Okay,
can
my
hear.
question is somewhat similar to what was asked earlier on. So my question now is, when you have this data, as I understood, you can either analyze this data on Excel, Power BI, or SQL. So when do you know which of the tools to use? When do you know, oh, this particular data set, I'll analyze it using Excel, or I'll analyze using Power BI or SQL? When do you tell what tool to use?
Okay, I like that question. Right. Okay, let me just answer that. So when it comes to the tool to use, depending on your company requirement, to be very honest, Excel is the power tool for data analysis. When I mean power tool, it just means like Excel can do everything that you try to do on data analysis, but not efficiently. So Excel is a basic database. Excel is a basic visualization tool. It is basic for everything. Now, when it comes to data visualization, we have tools like Tableau, Power BI, Looker Studio, yeah, that are designed for data visualization, which the reasons why we can see they are more capable or efficient for data visualization is for the fact that when it comes to Power BI, there are a lot of like aesthetics that you can add than Excel. I've seen a lot of beautiful Excel dashboards, but the truth is, when it comes to Power BI, also we have collaboration, like because it's owned by Microsoft. So most companies use it. Tableau too. They have like Tableau. I always misplace which one is for the public or this Tableau desktop is for like companies, right? Tableau publications for like anybody. So like they have that which also enables like collaborations among teams, and also just talking about most of these tools are more sophisticated than the normal data visualization on Excel. So that's why we use these tools. I don't know if that answers your question. And when it now comes to picking which you should, I would say that most of the times when if you are doing like your own exploratory data analysis and you just go on Kaggle and you pick it there, it is obviously based off what you are trying to practice on. But in most cases, most companies already have what they are using, right? So they will just tell you they have what you have to fulfill. Some companies they literally will tell you, okay, we want this done on Python, so you have to go further. But most companies, it's very like talking about like I don't know if you're in Nigeria, but if you're in Nigeria, yes, talking about in Nigeria, most companies don't use Python like that for data analysis. They feel because firstly, they still want to understand on a business level, so that when they are looking through what you do, they can also say, okay, you did the right thing or not. So if you were to write the programming language, probably not everybody can understand that. So I would say it is obviously based off what you are trying to achieve, right? But also most times you'll be given like your requirements. So like do this on Excel, do this on Power BI. Do you get? Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
So
I think
Yes, it does.
Emmanuel is
Thank
back.
you.
okay, sorry,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm off. I'm really sorry. I just checked
no
my phone.
problem. No
Sorry
problem.
about that.
I think Brown just has a question. Maybe I should answer that, then you just
Yeah, yeah,
continue the session. Okay,
you can
Brown,
answer.
you can go on.
Okay,
Yeah, Brown, I think we lost you.
okay,
Hello?
so I think you have touched part of it. I just wanted to ask if when you're
Yes, I can hear you now.
I just wanted to ask if you are given some set of data to work with, are you going to be giving it specific what do I call it, work tool now to work? Maybe you're giving a company gives you some set of data. Are you going to be told, okay, we want you to use Excel, want you to use Power BI, want you to use this and that? Or is the way the
Yeah,
data comes that you would use the same um, application to work on the data? I don't know if you understand.
okay. Yeah, in many cases, your your data would you'll be given data and be told what to use when you're working like with a company or anything. But when it comes to your own personal exploratory data analysis, like I just want to pick a data set and just try to like add more projects to you are the one that defines what you want to use based off the tools that you want to show off your skill set. And also, yes, there are situations where the data actually tells you the based on the kind of data you have, it tells you what you should use. So like Emmanuel already said, you have Excel having a limit of 1 million 40,000 rows. So you already know that if you have any data like that, it's more than that. You need to find another database tool that you can use, which now leads us to going to SQL. Also talking about your own flexibility on your tools, right? So if I use Excel better than SQL, I'd rather just run to my Excel, right? But when it comes to like SQL, I advise you that you also take SQL as your major database for working with for data analysis because of the ease in being able to like write your queries to be able to like just manipulate the data set easily. Yeah, so that would just be my own take on that. I think from here, any other question, Emmanuel will just continue session and answer. Thank you guys.
All right, thank you so much, Toby. I'm really sorry, everyone. I don't know.
Yeah, I think hello.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Where do I stop?
Okay. Yeah, I think the last slide that was open, like where we're
Yeah,
speaking about. Okay, have you read it? Yeah, we're
I've
here,
been,
right?
yeah, I've been talking already. So are we on data cleaning?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
can just because we have.
Okay. Okay. All right. So to get data cleaning, I already talk about one of the things you have to do
Sorry,
about data cleaning.
sorry,
Okay.
Manuel. I think we were on the slide for the process of data analytics, and you were
Oh,
on the fourth. You're discussing data visualization, and you went up.
damn. I've actually reached data analysis on my hand. I don't know if it's still has come up. Okay. Sorry about that. So we talk about data
And you might be
visualization.
my end here, but that's why I lost you.
Okay. So let me just start from here. So data visualization is a way of representing your data in form of a chart. So, and what I mean by in form of a chart, it can be in a bar chart, it can be in a pie chart, it can also be in a table. So the whole goals or objective of the data visualization is just for the stakeholders to understand the results of the analysis. Me looking at the charts. So you don't have to like stress, and that's why some people, when you're doing visualization, it's not about the color, it's not about the size of the charts, it's not about the way you do the charts. A lot of people feel like, okay, until they go to Power BI before they can make a beautiful chart. I'm telling you, Excel has you can make some great charts in Excel. And I'm going to be sharing some textbook with us, some resources like, I don't know, some of us who have read it, storytelling with data. Now, like, when you read that book, you understand something about visualization. So about the visualization, the stakeholder should be able to identify what the answer is just looking at it. So it's just a way of disseminating the information you got from your data to them. So the last part of it is data interpretation and communication. So then after visualizing your data, you still have to communicate to them and explain to them. Although they look at it, they understand what's going on. So you have to explain some things to them, how this thing come by and how this thing like get to this level and how this one is like this. So you have to interpret and communicate the result to them. And while you are doing that, you have to make a recommendation also. So are you all with me?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So you have to
Yes, we
yeah.
are.
So you have to make a recommendation also.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
we are.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you have to make a
Yes, we
recommendation
are.
and tell them, okay, this is what you. So and the reason why you have to do the recommendation is this. Although some people might find it so hard to make recommendations when they are presenting their data, is because they feel like, okay, if I make this type of recommendation and it's very, very bad on the business side, how will I feel? But it's, at least you have to make a simple recommendation. It is something that you have to try or you have to like take as your normal routine as data analyst. Make a recommendation. And why do I? And they expect you also to make recommendation. Why is that? You are the one at the end of data, so you understand the data very much. You've seen it all. So based on this and based on the results you got from data now, what will you expect us to do? What decision do you expect us to make? So that is why it is very, very important for you to like to make recommendation. And these are the processes that you have to carry out in your data in data analytics. So now let's look at one of these things better. So the next one is data transformations. I already talked some of the data transformation processes here, but these are other form of data transformation. Like a normalization, you are rescaling your data in a range, probably in between 1 and 0. Although majority of this transformation process that we have here is majorly for the machine learning aspect of it, but it's still good for you to have an understanding of this. Normalization, you're trying to bring all your data into the same range. Now, encoding categorical variable. Now, I can do something like this in machine learning. I can decide to call male 1 or female 2. Another form of encoding categorical data in normal data analysis process is that I can decide to convert the age of customers into a kind of like a category. Like for example, now I wanted to know what is the age distributions of my customers. Are they young adults or they are old people or they are just secondary school students or anything like that? So one thing I can do is I can convert the quantitative data of age to a qualitative data by encoding it in a categorical variable. Example is I'm combining the age like 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 50 to 60, and finding the frequency like that. So that's an example of encoding categorical variable in data analysis space. Now, feature engineering, that is also done in machine learning, but one of the feature engineering is like can be that you creating a new column from an existing column. You have the price, you have the unit price, you have the quantity, but you need your revenue, you need the revenue to like mix or to do your analysis. Then I can create the revenue column by multiplying the unit price by the quantity, and that's going to give me the revenue. Now I want to see the proportion of the total sales, so I can divide this column by this column to create the proportion column. So those are the different types of feature engineering you can do by creating new columns. Then we have dimensionality reduction. That one is in machine learning. So data transformation helps in improving the performance of machine learning and also in data analysis. Now, the next one is data analysis. Data analysis, please, can you all see my slide?
No.
You can't see my slides. Thank you.
We can see your slide.
Yes, you can.
You can see my slide. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So now,
Kind of small. Can you please? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, data analysis. What are the different types of data analysis we have? We have the descriptive analysis. We have the diagnostic analysis. We have the predictive analysis. We have the prescriptive analysis, and we have the exploratory analysis. These are the different types of analysis that we have. Like I said earlier, when you wanted to carry out your analysis, you have to convert the problem to a question. Then you can start answering the question one after the other from your data. So what is descriptive data analysis? Descriptive data analysis just involves summarizing or describing your data. An example is this. We made a sales. So what is our total sales that we made this week? That's an example of summarizing data. Okay, how many product A do we sell? How many product B do we sell? So that's an example. You are summarizing your data just to have a better understanding. Okay, which region brings in the highest sales? Okay, it's region A, it's region B. So just summarizing your data just to describe your data to understand it better is in a descriptive analysis. And we use something like all these sum, average, stuff like that, median. Those are the things that we use for descriptive analysis, just to have an understanding and summarize all the data sets. Now, diagnostic analysis is just focuses on identifying the root causes of observed phenomenal outcome. Let's say, for example, now a company said they are not making profit, or their profit is coming down, or their sales is dragging. Now, they want to know why. So we go into data to find out why this thing is occurring is known as diagnostic analysis. When someone goes to the hospital and before they can give you any treatment or before they can attend to you, they have to diagnose it first and look at what is going on. So that's an example of what diagnostic analysis is. Now we know that we already know the problem. Probably, okay, the person is having a headache, the body temperature is so high and he can't eat. Now that doesn't mean that they are just going to give him injection or give him some things like that. They have to take him to the hospital, examine him first before they can know what to do. Same goes for data. We say our sales is dragging, our profit is dropping, and it is going on. Now we have to find out why that is. What is the problem? What is going on? So we go into the data, try to look into the data. What is it? Okay, the sales is dropping. Is it because one region is not meeting up, or because we are out of a product that people really like the most, or because of government policy, or because there's some things that is going on in the environment that is affecting our sales? So these are the things you have to now dig deep into the data and find out. But the answer is always in the data. What caused that? It might also mean that you connecting with some other departments to find answers. So you get something from data, you might have to let me call the manager in region A, because we notice that this thing is dropping from region A. You want to find out that what is happening in region A that makes the sales to drop. So you have to put a call to business, or you ask questions from the business executives or some other department that might be involved to have an understanding of what is really going on. So that is an example of diagnostic analysis, finding out what is the issue or what caused the problem. That's what we mean by diagnostic analysis. Someone did something like that. I don't know. He did. There's analysis like that. Is it some year back? And they were like, okay, why is it that we have more children in September or something like that? I don't know. It was someone that put that in on LinkedIn, and it was like this analysis we have to look into and find out. That's we have more people celebrating their birthdays in September than January on that days. So we want to know. So that's an example of diagnostic analysis, just finding an answer. Then we have predictive analysis. Predictive analysis is just try to understand what the future holds. Although we can't really understand everything like that with data, but just to have a better understanding, a bit of understanding about it so as to prepare. For example, now we just close for the year, maybe in my company, we just close for the year. Maybe it's we are producing stuff, maybe like I don't know, like issues or anything like that. We're into production. Now, before we dive into the next year, we have to make some prediction, like in our preparation. Okay, what is it like? Because we have to prepare. Okay, based on our sales, and we can make prediction based on the historical data. We can make prediction based on the historical data. You can make prediction based on the trends and patterns that you have seen in history. For example, now so, some of these is it hotels or hotels or all these things, they tend to like have more customers during the end of the year or during the beginning of the year. And another thing is what's it called now? All these supermarkets, all these eatery and everything, they have this high surge in customers during the festive period. And they already know that this is because over the years, during this period, people tend to go out to buy stuff and anything like that. And also, we as a person that went into production, we want to know how much of product A we are to be producing in the coming year. Let's for us to make a preparation to it. So that's why we have to make some prediction by diving into our historical data. Or probably those that are into forex or something. I think it's the part now. Maybe you are trading. You are trading. Now, before you can you want to make some prediction about, okay, is this thing going to go high or is it going to like come down? Or probably in stocks. Okay, is this time for me to buy or it's time for me to sell? I'm very sure those who are into bitcoins and everything like that, cryptocurrency, you understand what I'm saying better. So we make predictions, and you make this prediction based on past occurrences, what has happened in the past. What has happened in the past, that's how you used to make prediction, and that's just about predictive analysis. Now, prescriptive analysis focuses on recommending actions or decisions based on analysis of data and constraints. Now, prescriptive analysis is based on we are trying to make a decision. Maybe we have two options at the company, like, okay, whether to go for option A or to go for option B. And we are in dilemma of that decision. We don't really know which one to pick. So what we do is we go into the data, analyze it for us to make an insightful decision. And it is we, as a data analyst, that we are going to make that decision and some other business executive. So we have to like, okay, based on this, our findings on the data, we advise you to go for this. Let's say, for example, maybe two business now, like two companies offer us, they want us to like do business with us, and we can only pick one. Now, what we can do is like we can do some analysis. Probably we do some background checking or something on the company that which one is going to benefit us the most based on our transaction and every other thing. So you are just diving data in to make an insightful decision. That's what we do, prescriptive analysis, just for decision sake. And exploratory data analysis is an approach to analyze data sets to summarize their main characteristics. So exploratory and descriptive data analysis work hand in hand. They are more or less like the same thing, just to identify patterns and trends in data. That's exploratory data analysis too. Also, and majorly exploratory data analysis is also towards to identify inconsistency in data, to identify some things that is probably off limits, or to identify trends and also patterns within data sets. So those what exploratory data analysis means. And now to visualization. Please, are you all with me? Hello?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So now the last part of this one is data visualization. So after you've done all form of analysis, like I said earlier, then you have to visualize it. You have to present it in some ways, and you can represent and visualization can come in different type of charts. It can be graphical representation like bar charts, line chart, area chart, or it can also be a tabular representation. Probably you have to like show a table of data set. So, and you have to know the best types of visualization to use. It's not every visualization or every type of chart that is best for every problem. No. So you have to know the best way to represent this data. And that will come from your experience with data sets. Now, if I'm trying to show probably a trend over a period of time now, it is best for me to use a line chart. You understand? I'm trying to show the stakeholders the trend over a period of time, or trying to show the trend of our sales over the week. In that case, it is best for me to use a line chart. So if I'm trying to show probably the difference between different categories of our products, like the difference in sales, okay, product A give us this, product B, we made so amount of money for product A, so amount of money for product B, so amount of money for product C. That type of chart that is actually best for that can be a bar chart. So understanding the data type and the information you are trying to disseminate will determine the type of visualization or graphical charts for you to use. So you have to understand that. And it's just visualization is just a way of representing the data set. So what you after you've analyzed data, you have your results, and you wanted to present the result to the stakeholders. And stakeholders can be the general stakeholders, or it can be technical stakeholders. An example of a technical stakeholders can be my boss. My boss is technical stakeholders, and what they are interested in is actually different. For the general stakeholders like business executive or investors, what they want to see is where their money is going. They don't really care about, okay, why using this Excel, why using Power BI, why using this. No, they just want to see a chart that is very high and their name under it. That's what they're concerned about. Just show them something. And probably I want to present to people and I want to show them the trend. What they want to see is a chart that is, and the chart must be communicative enough, whereby looking at the chart, they understand like 60 or 50% of what is going on. So the chart is not about like putting color, although it's good to like make a chart look nice and presentable, but it's not about the color. It's not about the size of charts. It's not about maybe the bells and whistles that we put or something like that. Just make sure the chart is giving them the information they needed, and you have to use the appropriate type of chart. I'm going to share some sources with us on this. No, I don't think whether someone has read the book Storytelling with Data, and that's another thing. When you are visualizing your data, when you are presenting your data, you have to tell a story with the data set. You have to tell a story with data set. A story in the sense that take it from the beginning, where the problem is, and what caused the problem, and where we are currently now. Just tell a story with the data set that they will be able to understand. This is why this one is like this. It's because in May there's a surge in price of diesel. That's why the price dropped. That's why people are not really patronizing us. So you tell a story with data in a way that they can understand, not just giving them chart that, okay, this is it. Just look at it. You must be able to tell a story with data set. And we have the bar charts. Those are different type of charts that we're going to be talking about. We have the bar charts, we have the line charts, we have the area charts, we have waterfall, we have pie charts, we have hierarchical charts, we have what other type of chart? We have so many type of charts like that. We have histograms, although those ones are actually used for exploratory data analysis. But we have several type of charts, and so that's the last part of data visualization. After data visualization is just now you making recommendations. So after you've analyzed the data, you make recommendations to them that, okay, based on this analysis now, based on what you've gotten from the data, this is the best way to go about this. Okay, do this, do that, do this, do that. Then started taking actions and seeing the impact of the. So usually that's just the whole process of data analytics and data analysis concepts. So this is the time we are going to be taking some questions and some other things that you want to say. Thank you so much, everyone. So do we have questions or something that is we actually need to understand about what I've said so far? Some people in our mind. Anybody? About data analytics concepts or about the tools? Anyone at all? Okay. Yeah, you can go ahead. I can see some hands up. I have Kele Magoke. Sorry, did I pronounce that well? Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Are we gonna be given like a step-by-step process of data cleaning of how to clean data?
Of how to step by step of how to what? I didn't get that.
How to clean data.
How to clean data, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now the step by step of how to clean data now. So the first step when you bring your data into from any sources you are bringing it in, you have to like check the structure. Is data structured properly? So that's the first thing. You have to check the structure. And if when you are cleaning your data, you have to make a list of the things you have to like deal with. And one other thing I need to like make mention is this: cleaning your data have to come from the understanding of the problem. You understand? You have to understand the data set you are cleaning and the problem you are trying to solve before you can apply the cleaning to your data set. Although some general cleaning are just removing duplicates. That one is very, very, very important. To remove duplicate from your data set. You remove outliers. That's like some extreme values. You check whether your data types are correct. Okay, you know, every column has their data type. Check whether the data types are correct. You check for some inconsistency in the data set in terms of like, okay, maybe there's some signs in some columns. Maybe some of them has comma, some has full stop. You know, sometimes when you're dealing with text data, and let's say we are selling different type of products, product A, product B. Some products might have comma after it, while some products might have like full stop. You have to remove some of that. Or trailing spaces. There's something we call trailing spaces. Maybe you put a space before you started writing the things, or before you started typing, or space after. So you have to remove trailing spaces. Those are the things we have to check for inconsistency. Those are the major ones, general ones you have to like look for in your data set. Then also you have to now look at your questions. Your questions that you're trying to answer and the understanding of the data will now determine what other data cleaning process you have to like put in place also. Do you get that?
No, I don't think I'm answered.
You're not answered. Okay, let me get that again.
My
The
question
steps.
is, are we
Okay.
gonna be given like a practical type of example on how
Yeah,
to clean that?
yeah, we are going to be doing that in our practical session. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank
We are,
you.
yeah, this is just a theoretical aspect. We are going to be doing that. Yes. Yeah. So, any other question? I see Eberichuku hands up. So, okay, Folayemi, you can go ahead.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. So I want to ask question regards to writing recommendation. For example, if we are told to like build a like a sales performance dashboard,
yeah,
and to track the performance of the sales of the company,
okay,
whether by year, quarter, or just by date. Do we really need to write a recommendation at the end of it? Since
no,
they only ask, okay.
So in that type of case, now you are told to like create a dashboard just to track your performance. Now,
Yeah.
so when you create the dashboard now, everyone is something that you're going to post probably on the screen for everyone to like track the performance and see what is going on. So what they
Yeah.
said you should do is just create dashboard. So in that kind of, you're not really making recommendation. It's only when probably there's a problem you're trying to like there's a problem in the
Oh,
company and you're analyzing data. That's when you have to make recommendation.
okay. Right. Thank you.
So I have Adikuye. Please, you can go ahead.
Yeah, the question I have here is the I the ones I have I was once told that Power BI is like just for mainly business data, like for analyzing business data.
Yeah, I get that.
So I want to know more. Is it only for analyzing business data or any other types of data?
Okay, now, so the thing is this Power BI is like a business intelligence tool. Now, the reason why they said that is because, we don't have much of statistical analysis in Power BI and probably financial analysis in Power BI. So that's why they said is for business intelligence. So majorly, when you're trying to like make sense out of business, that's when we use Power BI. So yeah, it's actually geared towards business intelligence analysis. Because if I'm to carry out some financial analysis on it now, Power BI is not the best tools for me to use. And if I'm to carry out some statistical analysis, Power BI is not the best for me to use. So yeah, it's geared towards business intelligence. It's a business intelligence tool.
Oh, sorry, I have another question.
Okay.
Yeah, is there any difference between business analytics and data analytics? Because
Yeah.
I do wonder the difference, because data analysis, business analysis. ah, What what is that like? What's the difference there? The major difference between them?
Okay, now, so I can say data analytics is just like a general thing. For example, now, a company has a data analytics department, and every department can just come to them for their analysis. So, as a data analytics, now, I can offer our service to like maybe to the business team, to the finance team, to the operation team. So when you now choose like area of discipline now, because when you started this data analyst journey now, at some point you might want to like specialize in some area, maybe as a financial analyst, as a business analyst, as an operation analyst, as a logistic analyst. So you applying that knowledge of data analyst to a specified field, that's when, for example, when you apply data analysis to like business, for business department or anything like that, that's when you become a business analyst. So what you are actually concerned about is like you're analyzing the business to make some informed decision for the business. So data analysis is like a general name of it. But when you now specify some field, that's why you now need something.
Okay, now I get. But we are still dealing with data under business, see?
Yeah, you are still dealing with data on that business, definitely. You are dealing with data on all every other part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Now I think I get it now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So Juliet.
Good afternoon, everyone. Juliet on the line. My question here is, please, I wanted to throw more light on outliners. And if we are working on our data, is it
Yeah.
compulsory or is it by force for us to outline some things? Won't it make the data look funny, or
Yeah.
especially if you're getting a secondary data?
Yeah, outliers. Yes. Now, thank you for that. So, and now outliers is it is very very important for you to deal with an outliers because it will affect your results, integrity of the results in the long run. Now, because you can identify something as an outlier, definitely you have to have an understanding of it, and you have to give a reason why it's an outlier. So I can't just come to a data set that I don't really have much understanding about and just say this one's the outliers.
Life tire you. They send you go school, put you for work. Life can't tire you. The person gonna come see it.
Sorry about that. So, as I was saying, so outliers are just like extreme value, and before you can uh, identify outliers, you have to have an understanding of that. Uh, okay, thank you. So you have to have an understanding of the business or the data itself. Now, for example, now I'm working in a company and I know the daily transaction that we make, like daily transactions that we make, and probably so far the daily transaction that we make maybe on an average is like 2,000. And on one particular day, where I'm saying something like 2 million, I know there is a windfall gain. I know, for those that are economics, we have something called windfall gain and windfall loss. There's a windfall gain, but from 2,000 to 2 million, that's something. Or I'm analyzing the data of people in let's say a caregiving company or something like that, and I'm seeing an age of someone like maybe 2 or 3 years. This will come for alarm. So understanding of the data, understanding of the problem will make you to identify the outliers. Without having that understanding, it is very, very, very difficult to identify outliers. And you might require some understanding because you have to identify the outliers. Because if you don't identify them and remove them, it might affect the data set.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. So I have Nwachuku.
Yeah, afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, sir.
Yeah, please, I want to ask the difference between a data analyst and a data engineer. I mean, what is the function of a data engineer and a data analyst? Thank you.
Okay. So a data analyst is just we are the one that we are getting the data and we're analyzing it to make a decision. Like the data has already been presented for us. But for all those data engineers, they are the ones that are bringing data from different sources. For example, now the data that we bring, there's something we call transactional database, and there's something we call data warehouse. I think let me shed more light on that. So transactional database is just the database that the company is running on. like the database that the company is running on. For example, now, let's say a bank now. A bank has a transactional database. So every transaction that you are doing, if I'm withdrawing money, I'm saving money, everything is going to the transactional database. That's why when you withdraw money from the ATM, you receive an alert that they remove something from your account. So automatically the database will update itself that okay, remove 5,000 from this person money, he has withdrawn it. So all the process, like, or for example, now in an e-commerce website, someone is ordering something online. As he's ordering, as he's saving this thing, buying this, everything is happening in a transactional database. Now we have a data warehouse. Data in the data warehouse is actually saved for the purpose of analytics. So data warehouse is a duplicate of the transactional database. So they copy the data in the transactional database and put it in the data warehouse for the purpose of analytics. Now, we as a data analyst, what we focus on is data warehouse. We just go, the data has already been made available for us to analyze. We just go straight, plug in our Power BI, start analyzing data. But a data engineer, they are responsible for collecting data from different sources. Maybe the data is in this cloud, data is in this moon, or something like that. Data is in this particular transaction database. They are responsible for collecting the data and putting it in a place, in a structure where we as data analysts can use and make informed decision. So they engineer the process of collecting data from their sources to the final destination. Do you get that?
Yeah. So, but as a data analyst, we can have idea of maybe collecting data from the source. Now we can have idea of that if we want, if we wish.
Yes, you can have the knowledge of it, but collecting data from the source is not really as easy as we say like that. Now you have to have some technical knowledge and the likes of like programming language, and you have very, very grounded in SQL. So collecting data from various sources like that is not the easy something. It's another level of things, bringing data together, cleaning them, transforming them, modeling them. It's not as easy as that. But you can also like have some interest in it and want to learn it more. Yeah, I'm also interested in doing data engineer, and I'm towards that path now. But I'm not as good as people that are in that area. Do you understand now?
Okay, thank you. I do.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we have Apim Bola around.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, man.
Yes, sir. Please, I would like to ask a question on exploratory data analysis. I need you to expatiate on it. What's the difference between data analysis and exploratory data analysis?
Exploratory data analysis is just
Yeah.
a process. Okay, it's just a process for you to understand the data more. Now I've collected the data. Now data is in my tools, like in my where I store it. Now I want to understand what is going on in the data set, like to check whether the data set is dirty, whether I need to do some processing. So you have to explore it to understand the data better. That's what exploratory data is to know. Okay, how many of these do I have? How many of this is missing? How many of what is there outliers in the data set? It's just for you to understand the data better, for you to clean and process the data set. As a matter of fact, exploratory data analysis come in before you started cleaning the data or started processing the data. Do you get that?
Okay, yes, I did.
Okay. I think Toby, you can come in now. We have some other question here. We have Ogidon Jeremiah.
Okay.
Toby will take this. Toby, go ahead.
Ogidon Jeremiah, can you go ahead? Take us up.
Okay,
Okay,
so
good afternoon.
oh,
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Can I proceed?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, thank you. So, based on the response given before the recent question about data engineer and data analyst, my question is that say a company employs a data analyst to work on a project. So, my question is that uh, won't the results of a data analyst be affected? Like maybe the results will not be as genuine as if a data engineer source for the data and gives it to a data analyst to work on it. Because data analyst now getting the data and working on it himself, data analyst might not search for the needed data as like the original data that is needed for the work so much as a data engineer would do. So is my question understood?
Oh, yeah, your question is understood, but the truth is, every format that you as a data analyst get to like encounter, I'm telling you that that's the format that the data engineer has been able to like bring out for you, because the normally most of the files that data engineers even like, probably their root files are JSON files. So if you are speaking that you as a data analyst, you have limitations with the end goal of the data engineering process is actually to just put the data in a format, not necessarily clean it. So what you do when you get that data is actually now structure the data more. Data engineers are just to put it in a way that, okay, in a CSV, JSON, that you can now work with clean and all. And it's like Ola said, it actually has to do with a lot of programming, which would need you to actually get the data source from the main source. And you as a data analyst, you don't have the capacity to, except you want to like delve into data engineering. Like, I don't know if you get me, but what I'm just trying to say is that the format that you receive as a data analyst, CSV, it is the data engineer that actually got it there. So the data was less structured when it was found, and data engineer now put it into a format that you can work with. Not necessarily that he cleaned it, they just put it into a structured format. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. No problem. Okay, CSV, that's your comma structured format.
Comma separated value.
Where else is going?
Okay, I think I want to go. In regards to the difference between the data engineer and the data analyst, for instance, you get a company or a new company just came in, and they probably do not have anything data. They do not have, like, it's a new company who is just starting up. Is it the work of the data engineer to set up a database for them, or is the work of the data analyst?
So
Thank you.
it depends on how sophisticated their data is. So some companies, they literally just start with like an Excel database, like I mentioned before. But when it comes to data engineering, you have now to use a lot of SQL, right? And that's where it now helps you to be able to do more sophisticated database structuring, for you to be able to create that data that fits the company's requirements. So you actually, as a data analyst, you can, it is I won't say it is anybody's I won't say it is anybody's what's name requirement or anything. It just depends on because it depends on what the companies can afford. It also depends on the level of the data analyst. So there are data analysts that can actually do what data engineer can do, which means that create sophisticated database, like, if you get what I mean, like just be able to use your SQL to actually understand, okay, this is how this database should be structured because of some abnormalities in the data. So we need to have, okay, we already know that, okay, we have our fact table, we have our dimensions. These are what we should call dimensions. This is where we should plug our data to. Do you get? So that is like majorly, I would just say that it is not anybody's, in a company like that, it is not anybody. If they don't have a sophisticated data and you're just trying to start it up from beginning, anybody's it's subject to anybody that can do it. But it also depends on the level at which they want it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, who is next? I think they're all answering.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, my question is this: what is the consequence of having an incompetent data analyst in a company?
Okay, well, incompetent is a very, very wide word. So what do you mean by incompetent?
Someone who is not really good.
So I would say perfection is something everybody's trying to attain, right? But you need to have the foundations, which is what we're getting here. And if you don't have that, obviously you can obviously lose your job or cause harm to the company when it comes to like some like imagine you are asked to interpret data now, like you're working with a business now and you actually interpret the data wrongly. That will affect the business because you suggested, okay, this is what was selling last month. This is the product that our customers are buying. This is the like I liaised with the product team and I'm like, okay, guys, let's shift our focus from the web platform. Let's start working on our social media. Let's do this. And that is what you recommended based on the data. And that actually now causes loss to the company. Yeah, so it's obviously to yourself and to the company. You cause harm to yourself and to the company. And you obviously don't want to like spoil your profile. So you have to work on yourself to actually get those foundation. But I won't say that word incompetent is very long because like we are all growing every day, we are all learning. So to be incompetent just means that you don't know that foundation, right? That you are meant to know as a data analyst.
Okay, thank you. I'm asking it from the angle where how important is a data analyst to a company? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
Okay, to
Yes.
come, I think the issue is we are in a country like in Nigeria, right? So like in Nigeria, there is no use of data like that. Data analysts are very important to any business, not even just to a structured company. Like for me, I even see data analysts being accessible to as small as a market woman because data analysts affects our decision making in our daily life, right? So it just shows how there can be that difference once you have a data analyst in place that knows what he's doing to set up a database, do like bring analysis from that database and be able to now draw insights, conclusions, and say, okay, this is what we should do. And based off that, we'll have actionable stuff that we're meant to actually do. And once we carry out them, I can predict that okay, with this, okay, our company's revenue will go up, this will happen. So the impact of a data analyst in a company is just, let's just say, the difference between somewhere being empty and now being filled with results, like not having results and having like results. That's just it. And it depends on data analysts to also make use of that opportunity. Because when you have somewhere that they don't use data at all and you are asked to go there, for me, it's just more like you become like a local champion. So yeah, even like every little thing you do is noticeable. So it's an opportunity for you to actually just show what data analysts like can do and what data analysis means to a business.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So who is next?
Hello, can I speak now?
Sorry, please. I asked a question on the group,
On
and I don't
WhatsApp.
know if no, like the chat group. I was saying, is it possible to convert a file format, for example, like a netcdf file to like a CSV?
Sorry, NetCDF, that's
And
network common data form. Yes, it's possible.
yeah, like .nc.
You use ArcGIS.
Yes, I am actually a climate scientist, and then I work majorly with NCDF data. So sometimes I really want to convert it to CSV so I can use Power BI to visualize, but then it's very difficult for me. So that's why I had to ask the question.
Yeah, so you can actually, I think you can run a Python script for that. And if there are actually apps online that you can use to convert this, but you can run a Python script for that. Maybe we can discuss after the call because I myself I used ArcGIS last year in the company I was working with. So I actually worked with different formats. So we can talk about that after the call. You can message me. Sorry, who is next?
Okay, good afternoon. Can I speak?
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. My question is on data analytic process, like understanding the data, like understanding the problem of the company or where you are carrying the data on. So my question is, aside from the data you got from the database or something, can you go into like questionnaire or asking the staff questions and all that, adding it to the data that you have, or you stick to the data you got from the database?
So when you're talking about like in that scenario, it's is subject to what you're asked to do. So you don't like it will only make meaning for you to work on what they give you for you to draw the insights that you really want to see. Or if you feel like personally, you also have to use your like initiative that okay, what would actually make make me have more insights from this? How will we be able to like if we feel like okay to be able to understand why the product okay I'm analyzing my product table right and I'm seeing that okay a lot of people didn't get this product this month and I feel like oh we also ran a survey last month to see how our products doing and we noticed that that same product had like low reviews and people gave reasons for it. It will make sense for me to actually say nice, let me bring this survey in, let me use that. So we'll be able to from that survey that we did, our questionnaire, we convert that into Excel format, CSV format, and we're able to do analysis on it. And we would say, okay, because of we can see that everybody were giving excuse like saying that oh this happened. The customer service were really rude. Customer service were really rude. You are seeing some columns. So with that, you already know that we need to fix our customer service. I out of the survey that I did, firstly, I looked at the product table. I saw that there were low buys in this particular product. Using the survey now, I was able to link that together, and I saw that that same product had low reviews. So with that, you're already making sense of data by actually sourcing for secondary data, but your primary data was what they gave you to work
Okay.
with, what the company actually has in their database. So I think for me, Emmanuel can just continue.
Okay, all right, Toby, thank you so much. For the question you ask, actually, yes, it is possible to get some data, like what Toby has said, from your apart from database. For example, now I was working on a like something recent on my company where I work. So we had to do some
Your voice is faint. Mr.
we,
Emmanuel,
can- we
your voice is faint.
it's not okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me
Yes,
clearly now?
we can hear you now.
Yeah. So like of recent, I was trying to carry out some analysis at my place of work. So I'm trying to do something like a customer satisfaction analysis, and we don't have we don't have that on our database. So what we can do is just like to add a questionnaire probably to our application that okay when a customer perform a particular something on our app or something, they can fill in the questionnaire about how satisfied they with our services, or we can send in a questionnaire in form of like a mail. So yeah, it is possible to do that, to send out a questionnaire apart from the data you have on your database.
All right,
So
thank
yeah. So we are going to be taking yeah, I think we have Evans. Someone has been trying to speak since. I'm so sorry. See Evans or someone has been trying to speak. Okay. Please, you can go ahead now. So sorry.
All right. Thank you so much. From the little
You're welcome.
knowledge I have in data analytic, I I discovered that in most cases, the in practical aspect of the tax,
Yeah.
they normally do descriptive analytic,
Yeah.
um, prescriptive analytic, and exploratory analytic. And in most cases, they hardly do diagnostic analytic and predictive analytic for data analysis. But then I
Yeah.
know that data scientists normally do
Predictive.
predictive analytics. So I asked in the course of this exercise, are we
Yeah.
going to have a practical session on diagnostic and predictive analytic?
Yeah. We have a session on diagnostic analysis. Now,
Okay.
predictive
Okay,
analysis,
that's
like you
great.
said,
And then
is
another thing
actually
I
towards
want
like
to know.
writing a model. Okay. So like about predictive analysis, we might already touch deeper in predictive analysis, like you said, it involves creating some algorithm or something like that. But we'll make mention of it. But diagnostic analysis, we are surely going to touch and do some things about diagnostic analysis. Yeah.
All right. That's great. But then my another curiosity I have is that the little knowledge I have. I think we are going to be using Excel, Power BI, and PostgreSQL. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then I know that Power BI and Postgre don't hardly do predictive analytic unless Excel. So I don't know.
Now there is actually you can actually do some predictive analysis in Power BI now. There's a function now like forecasting when you're trying to be predict. Yeah, there's a function in there now. So when you create a chart now, I think it's online chart. So you can add a kind of like a forecasting things to it to see what the sales is going to be like in the next 3 months based on the historical distance. So we can do something like predictive on Power BI now. I've done something like that like of recent on Power BI.
That would be great. I can't wait to do that because I normally do that with Tableau, but I've not
Okay.
known how
Yeah,
to do it.
it's now in Power BI now. Yeah, you can do that in Power BI now.
Oh, that's great. It will be great for us to know how to do it using Power BI.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in class.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So now Mr. Akorede. Okay, Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans, sorry. Evans.
Yes. How are you guys?
Okay.
Nice to be here. My name is Evans Nugori. I'm from Kenya.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So we have had a great session today, and I've enjoyed. Thank you very much for it.
Thank you so much, sir.
I could like to ask something like, do you think things to do with machine learning can be part of data analysis, or is that an advanced part of data analysis?
Now, machine learning is not data analysis. Like we explained, someone asked this thing the other time about data science. So data science is like the umbrella of everything that has to do with data, right? So under the data science, we have data analysts, we have machine learning engineers, we have data engineers, and we have AI engineers. As a data analyst, what we are really like focused on is just to like identify trends and patterns and make some informed decision for the company. So it is the work of the machine learning engineers that actually like maybe create a model or something like that. So as a data analyst, we are not going to be doing that much. But this is a career path, and everybody starts from the beginning. So we start with data analysis. You can decide to like take it up the notch, because actually I've done machine learning and I've really done something like that with it. But for a data analyst, we are not really focused on machine learning engineer. What we are focused on is just to like analyze data and make some informed decision.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it. So would that answer your question?
Yeah. So okay. We were doing this World Quant applied data science course. But then when that is data science, yes, that is where we learn machine learning and all that, things to do with random and decision trees and stuff. But then when we were doing this analysis, the end product is what we wanted to do in data analysis. So that is the reason I asked if.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I get your point now. I get your point now. Actually, what you just said now, a machine learning engineer actually is just automating the process of analysis. You understand now? So it is very, very important for you to have knowledge of data analysis before you can actually make good use of training a model or doing machine learning engineer. That's why majority of people that are into machine learning engineer have a bit knowledge of data analysis, because machine learning engineer actually is just automating the process of the analysis. For example, now we are doing a machine learning that is actually we deploy a machine learning that is actually predicting what the price of something is going to be. So what the machine learning is doing underneath that we have programmed is doing a form of data analysis, and is doing but it's automating the whole process for us like that. So yeah, it is good. You have to have a knowledge of data analysis before you can actually like make the best use of machine learning engineer, anything like that.
Okay. So basically, it is great, like for someone, like once we finish this course, it is great for someone to enroll into machine learning study.
Yeah, it is good if the thing is, if the machine learning engineer is what actually interests you. You understand now? If it's what is actually interests you, having the knowledge of these things and you actually understand it, you might actually delve into it and started learning it. It's going to the knowledge you get is going to help you when you get there about analyzing data. But I will advise like for someone to take it like a step at a time. First of all, like get this one, practice it, and then you can take it up. But if is that actually what interests you, yeah, you can go for it. So that's the question. So we're going to be taking Akurede. Sorry, I think that one has been on for long.
Yeah, thank you. What I want to confirm is that I know someone asked a question about, doing the work of a a data engineer if a data engineer is not on ground. So in a
Okay.
situation whereby you get a job and you start working for a firm, and this
Okay.
firm is not a small size firm, but it's not that big, but let's say a medium sized firm, and
Okay.
you are actually the first data analyst for the data thing, and there is no data engineer on ground. So does that mean you have to like build your database using Microsoft Excel? Or
No. So okay. Before I answer your question, I don't actually get it, but this will be the last question because like I've taken much time. Now, data building your database will depends on the amount of data that you are processing every day. Now, if our data is not that much that can fit into Excel, then I can easily do that. But another thing is if where the source I'm getting my data from. Some of us now as data analysts, we are just getting our data from one source. But as a data engineer, what they are doing is this, they are sourcing from the data from different sources. Let's say, for example, in a big company like a bank, we have product department, we have maybe finance department, we have operation department, we have business department, and each department has their own database. Now, it is the work of engineers to now bring all those databases together, model them together, and put it in probably a data warehouse that a data analyst can work with. That type of thing cannot be done by a data analyst unless you're skilled and you have the knowledge of data engineering. So, but if I'm dealing with a small amount of data, then that's when I can create a database myself and do that myself. So it majorly depends on the velocity, volume, and where the source you are getting your data from and how fast data is coming in. Sometimes we have some real-time data that is coming in like day in, day out, like just like that every minute. A data analyst cannot do that. That's the work of a data engineer. Do you get that?
yeah, I did. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, so sorry. That will be the end of questions for today. Please, we've taken a lot of people's time, and a lot of people has so many things to do. Let's just stick to time. Thank you so much for joining in. We really appreciate you taking our time to be a part of this, and we are so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for your time, and see you. So on Monday now, the video will be dropping on Monday. So we are going to be dropping the video on Excel first. So when we're dropping it on our YouTube channel, the link will be shared to us on the group page. Please let's go through it and let's watch the video. Let's do some practice on our end. And on Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. West African time, and we're going to come together, do some practical session, and on Saturday, which is like 12 to 2 p.m. this same time, we are going to be having some question and answer. An assignment will be coming with the video. Please, let's take time to do the assignment also. Thank you so much for your time. Do have a wonderful, so I don't know whether it's day now, or day, evening, morning, and everything, wherever it is you are joining us from. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We enjoyed ourselves. Thank you.
So much. So happy to have you.
Thank you. Please remove me from the group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me see.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Really.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please help us to drop the link for joining the WhatsApp group. I can't find
We
it.
do that, man. We do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Please, can we just exit the group?
Precious, Mariam, are you guys there?
Yes, I am.
So, how was it today? How was it? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I want to stop that
Session
now.
was.
Let me stop.